Welcome, explorers. I hope that each of you are well, exploring new places, new things, new places near and afar, as well as what? Exploring new ways of relating to others. Look, this is an exciting time for me. I have one of my girlfriends, Melody. And if you don't know her, you should know her because you should have seen and heard her in one of my videos where she opened up with a song, right? So if you've not seen it, I'm going to post the video up here so you can see it. Today we have a topic that I think is one that is necessary to have this conversation. I think it's a topic where we're in a time and a place at this particular moment that people are really questioning our stance in America. I want to share with you our conversation. We're going to call this, and I never titled beforehand, but Mel shared something with us that it has to be shared with the world. We're going to entitle this Woke and Strangled. Mm-hmm. Woke and Strangled. She sent us on Easter Sunday a text message, and I want to share that text message with you because this conversation is centered around this text message, and I need you to listen as I read her words. It says, "Morning. Please, y'all, pray for me. I tried to watch Amend last night and had to turn it off. I am up many nights pondering this country, its laws, policies, and history. I've decided that I hate America, but have concluded that there is nowhere but glory that I can go to escape the stains, and if not racism, then it will be classism or sexism or some other awful ism that derive from pride into sin of hate. That conclusion leaves me exhausted and nearly depleted. When you live for the fight and discover that there is no end or win, then what? I know, weird place to be on Resurrection Sunday morning, yet here I am. Pray for me, please." These were her words. Let me thank Melody for coming on. I thank you. I thank you for sharing with me. And we had a conversation. Before we dig into what she wrote, just keep in mind we're talking about being woke and strangled. Let me thank you. Do you have anything? Let me say this. Melody is an array of things, but let's go. She's a wife. She's a mother. She's an educator. So important. Need that. She's an intelligent woman. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. She's a lover of God. And the list can continue. Mm-hmm. But let me thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for allowing a platform to have some very difficult conversations.
Yeah.
But it's the difficult conversations that we need to have.
It is. That's true. Mm-hmm. Did I leave out anything that you want to?
You said all the important stuff.
Okay.
Everything that mattered.
Okay. Good. So before I ask her a question on her thoughts, if you have not seen the movie Amend, it is on Netflix. It's Amend the Fight for America. And I think it should be Amend the Fight in America. Mm-hmm. That's what I think it should be. Mm-hmm. There are 6 episodes and it's centered around the 14th Amendment. So when we read this and when I read this, I saw, or I heard in your words, a little uncertainty, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us, what were you really thinking when you saw the movie and you wrote these words and you became comfortable enough to click send?
I wasn't comfortable enough. Once I clicked send, I exhaled because I was glad to have it out. But then it was out. And maybe when you speak of uncertainty, like I said before, the only part that made me shake a little is when I wrote, "I hate America." And I had to, those were words that kind of echoed, because that's heavy. That's heavy. I live here. This is all I know. My mama's American. Her mama's American. Mm-hmm. And we all know the circumstances, but that was the part that I was uncertain about. So when I thought back on it, what I find that I hate, and it is America, so what about America I hate is the duplicity of it. Mm-hmm. I love I love and understand the American experience. I get that you wanted freedom. American history is my favorite. I teach it every year. I have for many years. So I'm a fan of it. I love the passion behind it, and I love what they were trying to do. What makes or turns that love to hate is how passionately the thought of America was, and how wonderful the thought of America was for the founding fathers, and how hard people in America fight to make sure that I can't have none of it. Mm-hmm. You understand taxation without representation.
Absolutely.
However, even the people that counted as 3/5 of a person had zero representation. And when there are voter restriction laws that are still happening today, that's representation. So, the land of the free, home of the brave. So, if you pinning your perspective on it, that was what was strangling for me. I'm not naive enough to believe that I'm not crazy. I'm not stupid. When people say woke, it's not like I woke up and I'm not really a citizen here. I'm not silly. And that doesn't make you silly, but I'm not naive. I'm not naive. I understand how things evolved here, but for me, seeing that there was no end to it, that you can't change people's minds. I'm the person who, you gotta do well in school because education's the key. Check. You gotta go to college because education's the key, and then get a master's. Check. You gotta go and work or have a career that changes people's lives. Well, I'm a teacher, and I know I'm an excellent teacher. I've always wanted to be a teacher, wanted to be one since 3rd grade. I did it. And my vow was that I will always work in urban communities, because I didn't see many black teachers. I had great teachers, and all of the teachers were great, but I knew of 2 black teachers at my high school. And I had one of them. I knew both of them because I watched them like hawks. But the fact that I never had a black teacher made me know that I had to go and be somebody's excellent black teacher. And I wanted black kids to have that experience, because I was a black kid, and I was in an affluent school, so it wasn't, but I was still a black kid who didn't have a black teacher. So that's my mission. So my point is that, okay, so you live, and like I said, you live for the fight. And what I was fighting for, I think the epiphany came, that I was fighting and hoping for change. And on that morning, I realized it's not going to change. It's never going to change. That's why I said, in America it's racism. That's far in the forefront, but someplace else is classism. Someplace else is sexism. So that's when I'm realizing this, that's when I felt strangled. That's when I felt stifled. Like, oh, Jesus, there's no place I can go. And I have a son. I have a black son. Can't escape. I wanted to move to Canada, but it's going to be something somewhere. So in my struggle, I did what I do. I ran to God. I was afraid. I called you, actually, and I was afraid I was having a nervous breakdown. I'm bawling, and I ran to God, because this ain't right. If you do this, and this, and if you show the world that black people aren't ignorant, and that we're brilliant, and that we don't need handouts, and that it means nothing. So anyway, I'm in a ball. I'm in a ball in my bed, and I'm praying to God, and what God kind of tells me, basically, if I gave you a soapbox and let you talk, what would you say for the world to listen? And thank you, Jesus, that's so sweet. And I get up there, and I can't think of anything to yell, because I realized that, what was I going to say? Change your mind about me. No. They're not going to change. People who don't want to change their
Absolutely.
minds about me will not. You might have been taught wrong. You might have been, you may have learned a different way. I don't know. But if you are not open to learning anything new or admitting that you don't know, then, or even changing your mind. I did know, or I thought this, but now I don't.
And the thing about it is what you're saying and how you're feeling is really undeniable truths, right? For so many Black Americans, right? We have grappled with this idea of we're here in a place that we were forced to migrate for decades, for centuries, for years, for at this particular moment. We're still trying to wrap our minds around. You forced us to migrate, but yet we're still denied the basics. And that's what the 14th Amendment and that's what the movie is about. And when you think about everything that's going on and looking at the trials right now today, George Floyd's trials, it still shows you that we're fighting the same battle that we fought. So when you say you don't think things are going to ever change, I will give pushback. Because I think things will change, and it may not be on a wide scale, but I think individuals are starting to change. I think that there are now the system. That's something totally different. I just think that at some point I'm believing. Let me say this: I have hope in that if it doesn't happen on the mass scale, that God is literally going to touch some. Now, it may not be enough to make change in the sense of the masses seeing us, but the beautiful part is that I have hope in God. So do you. We have hope in God.
You done just told the end of the story.
Right. So
yeah, but for me, I, like you said, I do have hope in God. But when you laying in the bed holding your ears, crying your face off, like or you're realizing some things on this earth, that was God's message for me. He said, well, when I said I want them to change, and he said, oh, sugar, they're not gonna change. So my hope can't be in people changing. So I'm thinking, God, I'm hopeless for the first time in my life. That's what I said. What do you do when you fight, when your life has been for a fight that you can't win? Okay, so God says, well, what were you fighting for? Hope. Hope for what? Ding, 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 ding. My fight was that I was hoping that things would change, but that couldn't be the fight. So God tells me at that point, I'm hoping for change. Well, that's not going to happen. He says, look higher. Look higher. And when I looked higher, what happened was God. So here's America. And it's lateral. That was what was stifling. Like, God, there's no place I could go. This is kind of the world with all the isms. I realized that it's not a black-white thing. Yeah, in America we have racism, but when you have classism, that's not a black-white thing. That's a rich-poor thing. And when you have sexism, that's not a black-white thing. That's a woman-man thing. But it's all hate. It's all, I think I'm better than you.
But America has it all.
I mean, of course,
we have the sexism, the racism, the classism.
Aren't we a melting pot of goodness? But my point was that, so when God says look higher, it helped me to take my eye off of the people and start to look at the source. Absolutely. My husband helped me to realize, he's the one who said, well, babe, because he couldn't understand the breakdown, but we talked about it and he did help me. He said, well, these are blinders. Racism is a blinder. It keeps us separate. That's the part in Men where I turned it off when they were talking about separate and the power of separation. Okay, I've had enough, turned it off. But of course, Jesus brought me right back there. My husband says, blinders. The isms are blinders. That means that they come from pride. Whenever you think that you're better, that's a source of pride. And God tells us plainly that pride goes before the fall. Absolutely. So what makes us fall? Sin. It divides into sin. So when you look higher, you see, oh, these isms are sin. There is no escape. That's the plan. So my hope can't be in change because that's not going to change. Satan is never going to stop. There's going to be a battle at the end and he's going to lose. But since I'm losing, come on, y'all losing with me. And you're never going to be president now. No, we know.
Okay, so there are some
nobody's
people.
Gonna live.
You have it, right? But there are some people, and I like that you said nobody's going to. That's funny. there are some people who feel hopeless. So what do we say to these people who are showing up in spaces every day and they feel like there is no hope? What kind of coping mechanisms do we give them or impart on them that hopefully to let them know this is not a hopeless situation?
When Jesus Jesus, God, whichever one of them told me to look higher. When I looked higher, what he reminded me was, first of all, that my hope is in him. Okay, all my hope is in him. And that won't fail. He won't fail. He cannot fail. I'll take it, guys. Straighten that out. But he also reminded me when I was feeling strangled and suffocated that I was free. And it's just these people who said that I wasn't free. He reminded me and told me breathe. And I breathed and I had air in my lungs. And I saw, because I was weeping, y'all. I'm hurting. And by this point, I'm on my back porch crying. And I'm there. I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm crying tears about my circumstance. Just like some slave mother stood on her porch crying about the life of her son when she looked at his future. Looking at... So I'm standing here crying the same tears that my ancestors did. God says, okay, you're free. They said you were not free, but in me you are free. And he gives me that 23rd Psalm, and then I'm crying for a whole nother reason.
Yeah.
So, here's what God helped me to remember and pull to the forefront. When people say, we gave you those rights, or when even if you feel like they gave us those rights, my question is, who gave them to them?
To them. I like that.
It's God given. God gave all of us the right to live.
Absolutely.
The right for peace. The right to make something out of yourself if you'd like to. The right to have a family to love. The right that if I bought it, it's mine. It's mine. The right to want more. The right to think you somebody. He gave us those rights. And if we give them to other people, then now they belong to them. So once I got my bearings, I realized I am free. And God reminded me that this is not my home, so I should feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And my only peace will come in glory. So there was woke, strangled no more, I'm free. So.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I like that she said, the first thing you said that stood out more than anything is that God says that we're free, right? So freedom it starts in the mind. And on many videos, you will hear me say, it's about a shift in our mindset, right? And we talk about this constantly. If you don't feel free and you don't think you're free,
then you're not.
Then you're not. You will continue to have chains, but you've got to free yourself mentally first. And then you will know and be able to experience freedom. Yes, we're going to have some breakdowns, some meltdowns. The reality will set in that, hey, we live in this unjust world among imperfect people who sin. There was only one without sin. So with that, I kept hearing this uncertainty. And it brings me back to, I was on Clubhouse and I listened to this gentleman. His name was Dr. Allen. And he gave a quote. He said, it is important for us to digest uncertainty with action. So I can probably say what you're already doing, but let's just really briefly. So when you're uncertain and you're in this stage, whatever part of life you're in, and you're feeling this uncertainty, what do you do? How do you move forward? What action steps are you taking?
Well,
after you went through all this.
Yeah, well, when I was in it, and I did ask, I tend to step back. I'm not I don't have a lot of uncertainty. You know me, real confident, pretty sure. But when I am shaky, that's why it's such a big breakdown. It's not often that I don't know what to do. So when I was shaky, I stepped back. And I asked the Lord, then what am I supposed to do? Because I'm searching for purpose at this point. Like I said, I felt like everything I was fighting for, my hope for change, was dead. So of course I asked God, well, what am I supposed to do? He's already redirected me and told me that my hope's in him. Okay, God, so now what I do? He told me shine. He told me to continue to teach black kids and shine and teach them to shine. He told me to stay happy and remind other people that this world is not our home and that we're not bound. Because they see me like that don't mean I'm that.
That's right.
I'm not that. I'm beautiful. God thinks very much of me because he gave me another chance today. So that's what I'm supposed to do.
For me,
that's my action to, especially now. Before it was just my personality. I'm going to work. I'm going to help these kids. But now it's my obligation. I have to let my light shine because otherwise somebody might drown under that. Or be strangled, get choked out.
Yeah. And then you have to, you said something. She's an educator. As an educator, it's our obligation, especially when we're teaching kids that I'm not a teacher, but I've been in education for 22 years. It is a responsibility. I look at data, I do data, but it is still my responsibility to come up with relevant data in order to help change the teaching and learning practices. That's what that you heard her say that her action step is in the classroom, right? She's got to take a message and teach our children. There is action that needs to come with uncertainty, but I like that even the best thing that you even said is sometimes we have to take a step back. Now, I do feel sorry for those who do not know God or have a relationship with God or your higher. For us as God, we're Christians. But even those who are not Christians, if you have no other higher power than yourself, I can see how this can suffocate you. I can see how you can feel like you are strangled and you don't have much life left. Here's what she's gonna kill me, but I'm gonna switch this up. It's all relevant because here, she's a songwriter, she's a singer. You sing in a group. Is it still Daughters of Zion?
Of course.
Daughters of Zion. And I always hear artists talk about when they're writing songs and when they are singing songs, there was this situation that made them sing or produce this song better, or they were able to elevate this message in a song because of their circumstances or the situations that they see others in or themselves. As a songwriter and a singer, she probably will kill me.
I'm not gonna
Is there any relationship? How if I were to ask you to sing a song at that very moment that you went through, or you were writing, or you were crying, what would that song be? And would you think you would sing it any different because of that?
I think I couldn't have.
You couldn't have sung.
I think I couldn't have. I don't know. Everybody's experience with that, and that's what makes an artist, that their artistry has a different way of expressing itself. So I won't say, I was going to say it has a different source, but to me it doesn't. All of it comes from God. That's why he gives artistry to people to kind of represent him. I'm giving you a splash of me and you a splash of me. So, okay, I'm an artist. But all of mine is God. So when I could always sing. My mother, when she was pregnant with me, tell all my business. I was born in 78. So this is prior to, young compared to my mama now.
Right.
But this is prior to when they're saying what you have, you just had a baby back then. But my mother, I don't know if it was a dream or a vision, but she saw a little girl singing. And she said, as she rubbed her big belly and sat at the piano playing, she said, I'm gonna name her Melody. She didn't know if I was a girl. She didn't know if I was a boy. But she saw a girl singing and said, I'm gonna name her Melody. And a lot of people think it's a stage name or, no, I've always been Melody.
I think I heard your mom say that before. I think I heard your mom say that before.
With that, I never ever took it lightly. I always thought it was amazing that God told her that I could sing before I got here. So I say I could always sing because I always did sing. I always, 2 years old, they put me up, standing me on a thing that says, the thing you're not supposed to stand on at church. Do this in remembrance of me. I stood on that because I was little too. Give me a microphone, singing. But in my songwriting, it's never about truth. It's never about me. It's always about God gives me, and I say this to people, and it's remarkable to other artists, I get the whole song every time. Every single time. The whole song. I've written several albums. I've written over 30 songs, and I get the whole song. The verse, the chorus, and God is good. Another verse, you know, and then there's nothing really to work on but a bridge after that, but that's the easy part. But to get all of that, the big chunk, the whole arrangement, all of it, every single time, that's not me. That's not how most people write. Right. They don't do that. So, and in my music, if you think about I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody.
So all of us are somebody.
So,
she's
right.
Nobody.
But my point is, if you knew my music, it's always about God, what he can do for you, how he gonna bring you out. It's always word driven. It's always about the song questions. I wrote questions you have about yourself. So I guess it's about experiences, but I feel like they're human experiences, especially if you walking with Jesus. God is going to humble you. Now, we all might not fall off a donkey and have scales fall off our eyes, but we all have that experience where you're humbled, where you figure out that's Jesus and this is me.
Right.
So, you know, in those ways, that's my story. That I got a song I'm working on now talking about being God's soldier. That's an experience, but...
Okay, so you talked about questions.
Yes.
Can we hear a little bit of questions? And it goes, you know what? It fits perfectly. She's going to kill me. But it fits perfectly with her words that she sent me, right? Because she asked several questions. And she said, when you live for the fight and discover that there is no end or win, then what? That was a question. Perfect. She brought up the song questions. She's going to do a piece of questions for her.
I'm not going to do a piece of questions
No,
for you.
you won't not.
Because I can't remember all the words. And I wrote it like... let me think. Okay, the chorus I know. It says... The answer to all of your questions lie in the truth, the way, and the light. Inside you have all of the tools you need to survive and live this life. Amen.
See, you know, I knew the words because see, I love her. Listen, I have the music. I purchased it. I listen to it all the time. And hopefully we can put insert. Wasn't that beautiful, y'all? I'm gonna insert some of the
Daughters of Zion off of Revelation Revealed. If you don't have it, it's on all of the avenues. You can buy it.
Okay, is it so? It's like on
iTunes,
everything. Okay,
everything.
So what I'm gonna do in the description is link the name of it, and so that you can purchase it, you need to get it. I'm telling you, this is you heard her. You need to hear.
I guess all of it, and I know we had a pre-interview because Dr. Mo B here is very thorough. I love your professionalism. That's why I said thank you. Thank you. Let me be quiet. I was about to be real transparent. I have to because that's who I am. So, for me, in all those categories, sometimes podcasts and TV is hard for me. It's hard for me to see some of the, and I'm going to put it in quotes because everybody's not like that, but some of the Real Housewife TV, that's hard for me to see black women like that.
I agree.
This is more palatable for me. So thank you. I appreciate it. I love that we can be all things. And that's fun too. We got to be who we got to be. But I love that we can talk about God. And I love that we can speak intelligently and that it's not... Nerds don't have to hide in the closet, nor should we, you know. But I just love that you're showing all sides of all things.
Because if everybody knows me, you know, I got that hood side now. We can bring that out.
Oh, we can
All
bring
right.
it out.
Hey, listen, before we wrap, let me thank you for listening to this conversation. I want to thank Melody again for giving us her time. She has a new baby. How old is the baby? Is
11 months.
11
tomorrow.
months. Oh, guys, you should
Man.
see him. He's so beautiful. Oh, boys aren't beautiful. They're handsome, right? He's so handsome and beautiful. Anyway, but
God.
she's got a podcast coming out, so look for that. And it's called...
It's actually a Di's podcast.
Okay.
And it's called The Shakedown.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Shakedown.
once the podcast is available, I will definitely let you guys know. I'm sure that she is not going to be a stranger to the channel. Do you have anything else you want to share with us, or closing last words? Okay.
Don't take yourself too seriously. Take a step back. You don't know everything. And God, if you ask him, he'll show you.
Absolutely.
That's all I got.
I love it. Don't take ourselves too seriously. I think I'm good at that one. But let me say to you, all we do is in the hopes of I can learn from you. Hopefully you can learn something from something that's said. And together we can do what? We can grow and glow and be better. People, be safe and be